Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into some seriously cool tech today.
Definitely. Always ready to geek out a little.
Well, get ready because today we're talking about video analytics. And no, I don't mean just your basic security cameras.
Yeah, this is next level stuff.
Right, we're talking systems that can analyze footage in real time, spot patterns you wouldn't believe, the whole 9 yards. We're going to break it all down, help you figure out which type of system is right for your needs because there are a few different approaches.
There are, and they all have their pros and cons. It can be a bit of a maze to navigate if you're not familiar with all the ins and outs.
Exactly. But that's what we're here for, to guide you through it. So, shall we jump right in? Let's start with what's probably the most mind-blowing approach, camera-based analytics, sometimes called edge analytics. So picture this, a security camera that's not just a camera, it's got a brain.
In a way, yeah, it can analyze the footage right then and there on the device itself. That's the edge part. All the processing happens right there on the camera, so you're not sending massive amounts of data over the network.
Okay, so that sounds incredibly efficient.
It is huge when it comes to bandwidth, especially if you've got slower internet speeds or data caps.
Makes sense. But I have to ask, if all the processing is happening on the camera itself, those cameras must be pretty advanced, right?
They are. They've got their own processors that handle tasks like recognizing objects, even spotting faces.
Wow, so it's like having a mini computer built into each camera.
Exactly. But, and this is a big but, there are limitations. The processing power you're going to get on a camera, even a really advanced one, is still going to be less than what you'd get with a dedicated server.
Right, so there's always a trade-off. You gain efficiency but might be sacrificing some processing muscle. So when is camera-based the way to go?
It's great for a lot of applications. Think like a retail store that wants to track foot traffic. Those cameras could easily analyze that, figure out popular areas, maybe even spot bottlenecks, super valuable insights without needing a ton of data.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we've covered camera-based, which is super efficient, great for certain tasks. But what if you need something a bit more powerful?
That's where server-based analytics comes in. Now, instead of each camera working independently, we're talking a system where all those cameras are connected to a central server.
So it's like having one giant brain analyzing the feeds from all those cameras.
You got it. And because you have that centralized processing power, you can do some really amazing things in terms of analysis.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about what makes this approach so powerful. What are the advantages?
Well, for one, you're not limited to using only the newest cameras. Since the server's doing the heavy lifting, you can even use older cameras that don't have built-in analytics.
So even those old security cameras gathering dust in the basement could be part of the system.
Exactly. As long as they capture decent quality footage, they're good to go.
Now that's what I call maximizing your investment.
Hmm.
But I'm guessing there are some drawbacks here as well, right? This all sounds pretty resource intensive.
Good point. You do need to invest in a pretty powerful server, especially if you have a lot of cameras sending high-definition footage. And then there's the bandwidth to consider.
So it's not exactly a plug-and-play solution for everyone. You need the infrastructure to support it.
You do. It's something to think about.
Okay, so we've got camera-based, which is efficient, and server-based, which is more powerful.
Mm.
But wait, there's one more option we need to talk about, right? Cloud-based analytics.
Ah, yes, the cloud. It seems like everything is moving to the cloud these days.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So how does cloud-based video analytics actually work?
Basically, instead of having a server in your office, all your video footage is analyzed on these massive, powerful servers located, well, all over the place, in the cloud.
So no more bulky server taking up space in the back room.
Exactly. And that's a big appeal for a lot of businesses.
I bet. But what are some of the other advantages of going with the cloud for video analytics?
Scalability is a big one. Need to add more cameras down the line. No problem. You just adjust your subscription. Plus, you don't have to worry about maintaining any of the hardware yourself. Your cloud provider handles all of that, the updates, the security patches, everything.
Sounds pretty hands-off.
It is. But of course, there are some potential downsides to be aware of, like with any technology.
Right, there's always a catch. I imagine internet dependency is a big one, right? What happens if the internet goes down?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question with anything cloud-based. A solid internet connection is crucial. If your internet is unreliable, that's definitely something to consider. And then there's the cost. While the cloud can be really cost-effective, it's not always the cheapest option. If you have a ton of cameras and you need lots of storage, those costs can add up.
It's all about finding that sweet spot, right?
Exactly. Figuring out what works best for your specific needs and budget.
So, to recap, we've got camera-based, Efficient, but might not have all the bells and whistles. Server-based is more powerful, but you need the infrastructure and the upfront investment. And then there's cloud-based, which is scalable and convenient, but relies on a good internet connection and might not be the cheapest option for everyone. So many options can make your head spin, but don't worry, we're going to break it all down, help you figure out which one is right for you.
Exactly, because there's no one-size-fits-all solution here. The best approach really depends on your specific needs and what you're trying to achieve.
Okay, so where do we even begin? What are some of the key things people should be thinking about when comparing these different video analytics approaches?
Well, a good place to start is to think about what you actually need the system to do. Like, how complex does the analysis need to be?
Right, because if you're mainly interested in just the basics, like, getting an alert if someone's trying to break in, a simpler system might be all you need.
Exactly. But let's say you need your system to do more than just that. Like maybe you want to be able to identify people, track objects, or even analyze behavior patterns. Now you're talking some serious analytical horsepower, which might mean a more robust server-based system, or even looking into a cloud-based solution.
So figure out what you need and then see which approach kind of checks those boxes. Makes sense. And I'm guessing bandwidth plays a big role in that decision too, right? We touched on it earlier, but I mean, streaming high-definition video from a bunch of cameras, that can't be cheap on the bandwidth.
Oh, absolutely. Bandwidth is huge, especially with video. So if you've got a slower internet connection or you're worried about data limits, going all in on a cloud-based solution might not be the best move, unless you're ready to upgrade your internet plan, of course.
Right, which not everyone can just do.
Exactly. It's all connected. This is another area where those camera-based systems, that edge analytics, can really shine
Yeah.
because all the processing is happening right there on the camera. You're not putting as much strain on your network.
So in those situations where bandwidth is tight, going with edge analytics could be a real lifesaver. Okay, now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that's always top of mind these days. Data privacy and security. We're talking about video footage here, which can be pretty sensitive stuff.
Absolutely. Whenever you're dealing with video surveillance, especially when you're talking about systems that can recognize faces and analyze behavior, you really need to be mindful of where that data is being stored, who has access to it, and how it's being protected.
Yeah, no kidding. That's
Yeah.
not something to be taken lightly.
Not at all. And this is one area where cloud-based solutions can sometimes give people pause.
Because you're essentially entrusting your data to a third-party provider.
Right. Now, to be fair, reputable cloud providers take security very seriously. But it's understandable that some people just aren't comfortable with storing their video data on servers they don't directly control.
Especially with all the data breaches you hear about these days. It's enough to make anyone paranoid. So for those who are extra cautious about data privacy, would you say that a server-based or even a camera-based system might be a better option?
They could be. It really depends on your comfort level and what kind of data security regulations you might need to comply with. But even with those options, you still need to make sure you're taking the necessary steps to secure your system. Strong passwords, firewalls, the whole nine yards.
Right, because no system is 100% foolproof. Right.
Exactly. You always have to be vigilant no matter which approach you choose. Okay, now, are you ready to talk about everyone's favorite topic?
Hit me with it. Is it budget time?
It's budget time. Because let's be real, you can't make any informed decisions about video analytics without factoring in the costs. And each approach comes with its own set of expenses.
Okay, so let's break it down cost-wise. What are we looking at for each of these options?
Well, those camera-based solutions, they might seem like the most affordable option up front because you're just buying the cameras, right? But those costs can add up quickly, especially if you need a lot of cameras. And you might be limited in terms of the features and analytics you get.
Right, you get what you pay for, as they say.
Exactly. Now, server-based systems, those usually require a bigger initial investment because you're buying the server hardware and software. And then there's the ongoing cost of server maintenance, which can be a hidden cost that people don't always think about.
It's easy to overlook those ongoing expenses.
It is. Now, cloud-based systems, they often have that subscription-based pricing, which can be appealing because it's spread out over time. But you really need to look closely at things like storage costs and how much you'll be using the system. Otherwise, those monthly fees can sneak up on you.
It's like those streaming services sounds great at first, then you realize you're paying for a million different things.
Hmm.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot, right? Balancing the features you need with your budget and your comfort level with things like data security.
You hit the nail on the head. It's a juggling act. And honestly, this is where talking to a security expert can be incredibly valuable.
Because they can help you weigh all those factors and figure out the best path forward. Kind of like having a guide in the video analytics jungle.
Exactly. They can assess your specific needs, walk you through the options, and help you make an informed decision that aligns with your budget and your security goals.
Having an expert in your corner is never a bad thing, that's for sure. And speaking of experts, we actually have a recommendation for anyone listening who's feeling a bit overwhelmed by all of this. Have you heard of Continental Computers?
Oh, absolutely. They're fantastic. They specialize in designing and managing these custom security solutions, including video analytics.
Do they really know their stuff?
They do, and they've got this great reputation for really taking the time to understand their clients' needs, which is so important, right? Because every business is different, every situation is unique. You don't want some cookie-cutter solution that doesn't actually address your specific concerns.
So they take a personalized approach, which I really like.
And here's the other thing I love about them. They don't just install everything and then disappear. They provide that ongoing support, which is so crucial, especially in the tech world, because things change so quickly.
Like having your own personal tech support team.
Yeah,
Always there to answer your questions and make sure everything's running smoothly.
exactly. So yeah, we highly recommend checking them out. They could be just the partner you need to take your security to the next level.
Okay, that's a glowing review. We'll make sure to put their information in the show notes for anyone who wants to reach out. But before you run off and call them, there's one more thing we need to touch on here. Choosing the right video analytics solution. That's just the first step, right? The real power comes from understanding how to use this technology effectively and, importantly, responsibly. And that brings us to the big question, the what now? We've covered all the technical stuff, but this technology, it's bigger than just choosing the right system.
It really is. It's like we're stepping into a whole new world, a world where cameras can do so much more than just record. We're talking about systems that can recognize your face, maybe even analyze your emotions, predict what you're going to do next. It's a lot.
It is a lot. And like with any really powerful technology, there are those ethical considerations. It can be used for good or, well, not so good.
It's that double-edged sword thing, and honestly, this is a conversation we need to be having more and more as this technology gets, well, more advanced, more ingrained in our lives.
It's not just a technology issue anymore, is it? It's a societal issue.
Exactly. And we all have a role to play in shaping how this technology is developed and used.
Well said. Okay, so to wrap things up, we've gone from the nitty-gritty of choosing a system, camera-based, server-based, cloud-based, all that fun stuff, to those broader questions about the impact of this technology. Hopefully you're feeling a bit more informed, a bit more empowered to make smart choices for your own security needs, but also to join those bigger conversations about how we use video analytics responsibly as we move forward.
Because knowledge is power, right?
Yeah, the more you understand about this technology, the better equipped you'll be to navigate the opportunities and, yeah, the challenges that come with it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive into the world of video analytics. But we'll leave you with this thought. In a world where cameras are everywhere, the question isn't just what this technology can do, but what it should do. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay secure.